buying first homes.
Yes. Yep.
And I know even we mentioned it a few times on Wednesday about your first home, but what can somebody, say the people that have been renting for even just a year, 2 years, or 10 years, and they've always thought about, gosh, I really wish I had my first home. What can somebody, because I didn't know what to expect when I got mine, but what can people expect when they buy their first home?
Yeah, so let's say you've been working on saving up for your down payment and closing costs. You've got that money saved up. You've got your credit score where it needs to be. Your very first step.
With your realty expert, John Brodeen. You got to give him a round of applause.
Hey.
How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good.
Good to be back.
On a Friday, going into a long holiday weekend, or do you realty experts get Monday off?
Well, I mean, I guess technically we can have any day off if we want to take it off. But my wife won't be working Monday. I think we're going to do something with friends.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I'll probably be working a lot on my basement this weekend too.
Oh,
training tomorrow. So.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Usual routine.
Yeah, I'm either going to work in the yard all weekend, try to get the garden planted if possible. And maybe possibly do some fishing, or do absolutely none of that and just go hang out in Fargo. I haven't decided yet.
Sounds like Fargo's less work.
Well, I know, but then that's just crap you got to do when you get back
then
from
you push
Fargo,
it on to another weekend.
So yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah. We talk a lot about buying first homes.
Yes.
And I know even we mentioned it a few times on Wednesday about your first home, but what can somebody, say the people that have been renting for even just a year, 2 years, or 10 years, and they've always thought about, gosh, I really wish I had my first home. What can somebody, because I didn't know what to expect when I got mine, but what can people expect when they buy their first home?
Yeah, so let's say you've been working on saving up for your down payment and closing costs. You've got that money saved up. You've got your credit score where it needs to be. Your very first step is going to be getting in touch with your realtor and your lender. If you're working with me, we're going to sit down before we even go and look at any houses, and we're going to talk about what your needs and wants are. We're going to talk about your expectations for what you're going to get in your price range that you're in your budget that you're trying to stay within. I'm going to do something kind of similar to what I'm going to walk you through today and kind of walk them through what to expect through the whole entire process, explain how I get paid, what our working relationship is going to look like, and I cover a lot of their questions then, because the reason I like doing this and sitting down and meeting is when we're looking at houses, if I'm sitting there trying to talk to them, explain things to them, it's just not the best time to do it because people are focused on the house. And, I'd rather be able to sit there and answer questions and have a conversation with them rather than be trying to do it at the same time as we're trying to show a house. So we're going to get so you've got your lender, you're working on getting pre-approved, you get pre-approved, you're working with me, we've sat down, we've met, we're going to begin looking at houses. I'm going to be setting you up on automatic listing alerts. So as soon as a listing that meets your criteria hits the market, and the other point of this meeting too is to really narrow down your criteria. I'm going to ask you questions that maybe you didn't even think of that's going to help me understand what you want better and help you understand what you want better and what your priorities are.
Okay.
So once we've really narrowed down our criteria, we're going to begin looking at homes. I'm going to be suggesting to go drive by homes that we've looked at or maybe we haven't looked at yet. Drive by them at different times of day. Really narrow in on what type of neighborhood you're into. Once we find the right home, this could be on our first day of showings, or this could be after looking at houses for 6 months. We're going to get an offer written up, going to go through negotiations. Negotiations are going to look completely different based on how many other offers we're competing against. If we're in a competition situation, we're going to have one strategy. If the house has been on the market for 3 months and has had no offers yet, and we're the only one, we're going to have a much different negotiating strategy. And that's also something we're going to cover in that initial meeting, where I can prep you on the expectations for the negotiation process. Once we reach an agreement and we've reached agreement on price and terms, that's when we get the purchase agreement signed. Now, the first thing after you get that purchase agreement signed, now you have a deal, is you're going to deposit the earnest money. You can usually do this electronically.
Okay.
That's like your deposit. That gets held in either the real estate company's trust account or the title company's trust account until closing, and then it gets put towards your down payment at closing. Only way you lose it is if you violate the contract. Second step, if you made your offer contingent upon home inspection, is getting that home inspection set up. I can help you out with this. I can set it up for you. We're going to get that set up right away. Next step after that, and behind the scenes, we're sending title and sending your lender the purchase agreement right away so they can begin working on everything. But this is the stuff you're actually doing with me. So home inspection is going to take place usually within 14 days after getting an offer accepted. The home inspector, if we set up the home inspection for 10 o'clock, it's usually going to take about 2 hours. We'll plan to get there at noon. We'll meet with the home inspector at the house. He's going to kind of walk us through everything he finds. It's completely up to you whether or not you get a home inspection. It's completely up to you if you make it contingent on home inspection or not. And it's completely up to you who you use for a home inspection. This is for your information only. You just want to see if there's any big surprises.
Right.
So it's completely within your rights to decide not to get a home inspection as well. So as a result of the home inspection, there may have been some little things that you find that you want to ask the seller to take care of before closing, or maybe they find a list of like 5 little things. You ask the seller to take care of 3 of them, and you're like, I'm fine with taking care of these 2 after closing. You reach an agreement on that negotiation, and it also gives the opportunity where if there's a ton of huge stuff that they found and the seller's unwilling to do anything about it, you can back out and start all over again, find a different place. So once you've reached an agreement with that negotiation, you're going to keep moving forward. You're probably going to get your appraisal ordered at this stage if you haven't ordered it already.
Okay.
The appraisal is for the bank. This is different from home inspection because we can't control who does it. The bank needs the house to appraise at the value that you've agreed to pay for the house, either at or above. If this appraisal comes in low, then you have to renegotiate purchase price. And if you renegotiate the purchase price and the sellers aren't able to come all the way down to the appraised value, anything above appraised value that you are agreeing to pay for the house, you have to come out with out of pocket in addition to your down payment. So that's something to know. So we get that appraisal ordered after home inspection takes place or before. The appraiser actually goes out to the house and walks through it, takes photos, begins compiling their report. The primary thing that the appraiser is concerned with is the value. The second thing that's important, if you're doing an FHA loan, if you're doing a VA loan, if you're doing a USDA loan, is making sure that that house meets all of the condition requirements for that loan type. That's where people get it mixed up with home inspection, because in some cases there is a condition aspect to that appraisal as well. If, for example, the house has a little bit of chipped and peeling paint and the appraiser flags it, then we've got to decide how we're going to get that taken care of, have the appraiser come back out, see that it's been taken care of, and then be able to move forward. We won't be able to move forward until that gets taken care of and until the appraiser comes back out. Meanwhile, this whole time, so that appraisal, the appraiser is probably going to walk through the place within about 1 to 4 weeks after you get offer acceptance.
Okay.
Home inspection takes place usually within the first 2 weeks after getting offer acceptance. This whole time, the bank is, asking for various documents from you, bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, all this kind of stuff. You might have to submit the same type of document multiple times because if you get a new month's worth of bank statements, you need to give them to your lender. So keep everything organized. Keep providing them what they need. The quicker you can get it after they ask for it, the more likely you are to be able to stay on schedule. So let's say appraisal comes back good. There's no issue with the value. No issue with any repairs, then you move on forward. Your next step is going to be, so the seller is going to be getting moved out probably during this step. So next step is getting final loan approval. This is also it's also called the clear to close.
Okay.
That's going to happen. That's got to happen at least like 3 business days prior to closing.
Okay.
Because they have to give you a certain amount of time to review all of your disclosures with
Sure.
your final numbers before you can actually close. That's a government regulation. So in this time, you're going to be calling the utility companies, getting everything switched over into your name. We're going to line up the final walkthrough. Usually we're going to do that within 24 hours of closing, either the day of closing or maybe the day before. Once the sellers are all moved out, check the house out, make sure they made any repairs that they agreed to make during the home inspection phase, make sure that there's not any new damage to the house or anything like that. Get that final walkthrough scheduled. Then we'll go and do the final walkthrough on the day of or day before closing. Then you go to closing, sign all of your paperwork. This is usually about 45 days after you get your offer accepted. And this is when you actually get the keys. Now you own the house and you can actually move into it. So that's what the whole process looks like from start start to finish for a first-time home buyer.
And you just make it look like it's a breeze. You just sound like it's a piece of cake. A lot of confusing stuff in there if you're a first-time buyer.
Yep, that's what I'm here for, though. I handle that stuff behind the scenes. I make it easy on people. I tell them what they need to do, when they need to do it, keep them reminded of things. I don't expect people to remember all this stuff.
Right,
they're not
right.
on their own. I'm here helping every step of the way.
And you know, that's the thing. You know, you say, well, I don't expect people to remember all of this, blah, blah, blah. But that's the thing about the beauty about all of you realty experts at Berkshire Hathaway. You're a phone call away.
Yep.
If there's something, it's like, oh, what did John tell me again? He told me so many things. Oh, I wonder if he'd be mad if I called him up.
Yeah.
You know, it's Saturday, it's supper time,
Happens all
and
the
I
time.
gotta, you know, and that's, you guys, that's what you do.
And I also give people a folder with all of this stuff so they know exactly what to expect too. So they can reference back to that whenever they want to. They can call me, text me whenever they want to. You know, this is just a pretty standard way that things go, but you know, it gets a little more complicated if we run into some hiccups or delays, something like that. So that's what I'm always here for, that to smooth things out.
Yeah, and there's things that you will tell people not to do or to do what in this whole process, because there might be some things you didn't know about. You know, like don't go blow a bunch of money on your credit card until you know you're closed and all that stuff. But I remember when we got our first house, it was scary for me. It really was. But
it was for me too. And I'm a real estate agent.
Right. But you guys make it a lot less.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't go to Conlon's, buy that whole furniture package.
Not yet.
Put it on a loan for 0% APR for the first year. Even if it's 0% APR for the first year, it's going to affect your debt to income ratio, and it could cause your loan to get denied.
Yeah.
So don't do any new credit pulls once you've got, once you've done your mortgage. Up until closing, don't do any new credit pulls. Don't change your job. Don't quit your job. Don't buy anything on debt. Don't spend the money you need for your down payment.
Yeah, you go to your lender and they say, yep, okay, we'll okay you for how much money?
Yep.
That doesn't mean it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you go out and do something stupid like go buy a new truck or a boat or a snowmobile, that they might say, well, but you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Now you bought a new pickup and it's got a $1,200 a monthly payment. Now your debt to income ratio just changed, and now instead of being able to afford that $300,000 house that you were buying, now you can only afford a $230,000 house.
Right. So these are all things you have to really think about. And you know what? I'm learning more and more all the time, and you guys are pretty good teachers too.
Thank you.
Maybe one day I know what my profession will be. I'm
go.
halfway there. Yeah. If somebody wants to get a hold of realty expert John Brodin, how do they do that?
Yeah, check me out on all the social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you have a real estate question or you want to become a client, my cell phone number is 701-213-5428. You can call or text me on that number. I'm happy to answer questions. If you even have a question just from this show, you can leave it in the comments, send me a text. I'm happy to help out.
Have yourself a great holiday weekend.
Yeah, you too, John.
And we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
All right, there you go. John Brodin, your realty expert with Berkshire Hathaway. And that's your Friday edition of your Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast. Hey, everybody, have yourself a great holiday weekend. We'll be back Wednesday morning at 10. We'll have another Berkshire podcast for you. Have a great weekend.